with your eyes open or closed, I think I'm going to close mine. I'm holding the spell that Jesse cast. And where I went was on a little journey around the world. I could see a woman bent over in a village, sweeping a dirt floor with a handful of straw. I could see some kids, some children, watching cartoons in front of a large flat screen TV. I could see whales migrating, gathering together, protecting the young, heading to warmer waters as the winter approaches. I could see people talking quietly so as not to be heard outside their broken home. Too many bombs this week. And they share some food and a prayer that this war around them would pass. They could get back to normal things like school and work and walking down the street. I saw people taking to the trails in the Rocky Mountains on a Sunday morning. Water bottles and sunscreen and snacks in their pockets. And I pictured a pumpkin somewhere in a field or maybe even a backyard, no longer needed, decaying, the orange turning brown, and the seeds finding their way into the dry earth, maybe somewhere in South Denver, maybe somewhere in Boulder County. And the creatures that come and sniff at it, the bugs and the enzymes. And there's a process unfolding as that seed finds its way deeper into the ground, and in time, with the melting snow and the warm kiss of spring, will begin to change. A hard shell breaking open, green life pushing out, taking sunlight and turning it into matter, taking soil and turning it into nourishment, and then little by little reaching up, as we all do, through the dirt, through the dryness, pushing aside a few little stones and revealing itself and continuing in that light to sprawl forth, leaf after leaf, then flower after flower, and then bee and hummingbird, and then fruit. And we begin to see the first signs of another small pumpkin revealing itself. And we are reminded that there is a process. There is a design. There is an intelligence, and we exist within it. We are that seed. We are that light. And yes, there is war. And yes, there is peace. And yes, things through our narrow view appear ever-changing. But some things endure. They change form. They change how we might see them or relate to them, but they are eternal. That which we came from remains with us. That which structured and is the structure of the universe is still operating. It didn't change when things stopped going your way. It didn't change when you were disappointed. It didn't change when you were delighted. It was always the same rule, always the same laws. And we as humans operate within that. And yes, we create change. And yes, we feel disappointment and pain and loss and suffering. But as the great mystics, or I should say scientists, or both, have reminded us again and again and again, there are few things we know, but in this universe, energy is neither created nor destroyed. It only changes form. We can trust that. We can trust that. And so in our temporal existence, we pay a lot of attention to the changing form and forget to have faith in the energy, that which we are. There's a story, and if you're still in the dreamland, you can open your eyes so you don't have to be woken up later. There's a story that a lot of ministers share, which means it's actually a story I'd never heard before. And there's actually a website called sermon.com. I couldn't believe that. I love to look up folk tales, and I found sermon.com, and I was like, oh, wow. There's other people that do this thing on Sunday. Anyway, I don't know if you've heard this story, but it's a powerful story. It's told different ways, and it's the story of a married couple on a great journey, a long, long time ago, before planes and trains and automobiles. And they're making their way back home, and they have to cross a great body of water. And it's a difficult decision. Should they go now? How's the weather? Is it too late in the day? And they think they can make it, so they set off, and they're rowing, and all of a sudden they realize the wind is picking up and working against them. And they're not going as fast as they think, and they don't think they're going to be able to make it before sunset, but they're already out there. And next thing you know, the clouds come in, and then a crack of thunder and lightning strikes. And the winds pick up, and there they are in this tempest. And he begins to cry out, "We never should have come. This was a big mistake. We should have stayed at the shore. We should have waited till tomorrow. I can't believe we're going to die like this." And she turns back, and he's let go of the oars. He's now on the floor of the little boat, and he's clutching at ropes. And she sees the desperation in his eyes. And so she goes to him, and she pulls the large hunting knife that he keeps by his side, and she puts it to his throat. And she says, "Are you afraid now?" And he kind of looks at her in the middle of all this, and he's like, "What?" She says, "Are you afraid now? I'm going to cut your throat." And he laughs, and he pushes her hand gently away, and he says, "I'm not afraid of you. You're my wife. I love you, and you love me. We've been through everything together. We need each other. Why? Of course, I'm not afraid of you." She says, "So then why are you afraid of God? You trust me for all my faults and all my mistakes, but you don't trust God to see us through. Where is your faith Where is your prayer? Get back in your seat and row. And of course, they endure because what she knows and what he remembers is that all things are within Spirit. All things within God. Yes, the storm. Yes, the fear. Yes, the boat. Yes, the moment of division and conflict. It's all within that which we came from. It's all within that to which we will return. And that means that at some level, although not always the level that you want, at some level it's all going to be okay. It's all going to move in the cycles of time. It's all going to return to the earth, and the earth to the universe. What's interesting about the story is that it reminds me of just how far we fall from our trust in Spirit, and just how much pain and suffering arises in its place. Really, the lack of trust in Spirit is the evidence for those moments or aspects of life where we fail to see Spirit, to feel Spirit, to remember Spirit. When we lack trust, which looks something like trying to be in control, trying to have things our way, judging, fearing, all the energies of not trusting. What it shows us is that we are focused on that which is temporal, fleeting, temporary, and not that which is eternal. Whatever words you want to use, infinite, everlasting. And the more we focus on that which comes and goes, and the more we try to build it up as though it were real or lasting, the more we hurt. And the more we hurt each other. Because virtually every struggle is a secret cry for love. It's hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine such violence, such negativity, such chaos that we see in our own lives, in our communities, and the world could be a cry for love. But when you forget that what we seek is not made by us, then the frantic fight begins. When you forget that what we truly seek is not made by us, then the frantic fight begins, and we build, and we conquer, and we criticize, and we condemn, because we're trying to find that feeling of safety and security for ourselves that no conquest can give us. And so it becomes insatiable. It's insatiable. You can never have enough of what you don't need. Just follow me around at Target. But as the ground falls out from under us, what else can we do? The love is slipping away. The control is slipping away. And so we try harder and harder in little ways and big ways. And yet, there is another way, which is in the middle of the chaos to relax. In the middle of the struggle, to let it go. In the middle of the fear, to just choose love for ourselves. And to go into the stillness and the silence and the eternity that gave birth to us and find our answers there. And no, our answers won't all be the same. And some of us will be teachers, and some of us will be defenders, and some of us will be farmers, and some of us will be wisdom keepers. We're going to have different expressions, but it has to start in the place where we're all the same. In the stillness, in the infinite source, in the one. And trust trust that if we go there, something good will come out of it. I mean, that seems silly that we'd even have to say that. But when we control, when we judge, when we fear, that's what we're saying. We're saying, I don't trust that I can go to Spirit first and then be looked after. That's pretty scary, because the opposite clearly doesn't work. And so we close with a scary proposition. And it's a belief. There's no question, it's a belief that if you let go of your striving and your struggle and your identity and your goal, and you just listen deeply to that Spirit that is within us and all things, that something good will come. And we may not have all the answers right away, but we'll find the peace, the love, and the patience to endure all this stuff that we can't yet understand. To make our best decisions with each choice in front of us, and let go of trying to make decisions for others, for the world. Because clearly no one person is capable of that. And yet, the universe has persisted. Something else has been able to be successful at. There is a design, and it brought you here. It took you from an imperceptible energy into a multi-celled organism, and finally to a human being with soul and energy and heart and mind, and this strange suspicion that something's missing, and that all that we've been told and all that we've created just might not be what this is really about. That maybe what we need to do is take a deep breath and trust.